Hello.
Hello, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
I am excellent. First of all, thanks for taking part in our podcast, and hello and welcome to our listeners out there. This is Creative Copywriting Content Solutions small business podcast for your easy listening, mindset, and small business success. I'm Jaffaman Eddie, the Commander-in-Chief of Creative Copywriting and Content Solutions on the Gold Coast. Here you'll find a range of holistic and real-world approach of conventional and unconventional marketing tips and other nuggets of gold on everything to do with copywriting, content writing, marketing, mindset, and much more for your small business without the BS. Now, today's really special, guys and gals. We've got a special guest. We're speaking with the fabulous Wasim Debussy. Yes?
Yes, Debussy.
Debussy of wasimdebussy.com. Okay, mate. So first of all, thanks for coming along and sharing your expertise with us.
My pleasure, mate. Thank you for having me. It's a big honour.
Hey?
Thank you for having me. It's a big honour.
Appreciate it, mate. So, all right. So before we get into today's main topic, my friend, just tell us a bit about yourself and what you're up to.
Okay, so I'm a life mastery coach. My expertise and my focus is working with fellow men to reignite their passion, reignite the passion in their relationship, and become the top influencer in their kids' lives.
That's awesome, buddy. And I mean, so what made you start this sort of business? Because I know you've been in business, for decades, yeah?
That's right. I've known it for about 12 years or so.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I'm just looking at, from what I know of you, I mean, we've worked together on and off over the years.
Yep.
You had a young family with a mortgage and a desire to get into sales, but no one would give you the go or the opportunity.
That's correct.
And then you did some time with Harvey Norman and grew their sales to what, $1 million, yeah?
I grew their sales from zero to recurring sales about $60,000 a month within 3 months of being there.
Oh, okay.
And then I moved from there, and the last company I was working with, I grew their sales to $4 million a month.
Wow. Okay. So man, what motivated you to start this business, Wasim?
Mate, what motivated me was the fact that I had seen. I've always loved coaching,
yep.
And I've always had a desire to help people. My backstory is a little bit, it's a bit unconventional. I lived, or maybe not so unconventional. The more and more I explore this, is the fact that I lived somebody else's dream and somebody else's rules for such a long time. So I followed the norm and listened to my parents growing up, doing what they told me to do, and followed down a path that I really wasn't passionate about. I discovered sales in my mid-20s, and I fell in love with it because it helped me help other people. And 16 years into sales, I decided, I lost my job beginning this year in March, and I decided that, life has come around full circle for me, and I no longer want to live by anybody else's expectations, and I want to follow my dream of helping people. And to do so, I wanted to be a psychologist as a teenager.
Yep.
And I didn't follow that dream, and I knew that I had I had more to give. Being in sales is great because I truly believe that sales is one of the most important skill a person can have. Because whether it's in your relationship, whether it's in your business, whatever you do, you've got to present yourself and present your offering in the best possible way, and also be able to connect with the other person to give them a solution.
Yep.
I jokingly say this, 20 years into my marriage, I've been with my wife 23 years, I sell myself to her every day. It's the only way that I can keep her with me for all these years.
Yep.
So it's a bit of a joke, but there's some truth in it, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. You've got to be in it together, and the only way you can get a relationship to work is by both knowing each other's needs and wants and providing those and meeting them. And over the past 5 years or 6 years or so, I've gone through struggles in my relationship. We got to a point where about 8 or 9 years ago, our relationship was on the rocks, and we had to take good hard look at where we were.
Yeah. And I can relate. I mean, I've been married since 92, and
Wow.
Yeah, you're right. For me, being married is all those things, as you said. You've got to devote time, this, that, and the other. And,
That's right.
I think, I don't know which movie it was in, but I heard a great quote, and I think Robert De Niro said it. He said, marriages don't have good days, they have good and bad years.
That's right.
And I think a lot of people underestimate that, just how difficult or how, I mean, it's rewarding, don't get me wrong, but, marriage is a partnership, and as you said, it takes constant work.
100%. It also takes it also takes both parties coming together, and I believe that one of the biggest challenges facing marriages today, from my experience and also speaking to multiple and hundreds or heaps of men and women, and seeing my own friends that I truly love sabotage their marriages, I believe that as men, we have a responsibility to be leaders. We have a responsibility because you run an organization, you run a business, and every organization, in my opinion, is the culture stems from the top. So if you've got a bad boss, or if you've got a negative boss, or you've got a bad culture at the top of the organization, that's going to filter down to the rest of the organization.
Oh, most definitely. So what you're saying, if I understand correctly, is lead by example. Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Now go.
Yep. So if the relationship, and this is a mistake that I've seen many parents do, and I did the same mistake. Once we have kids, we put the kids first, because we instinctively want to provide the best thing for the kids, and then by putting the kids first, we usually neglect the mother and father, or the partnership between the parents. And when we neglect that relationship and that starts to deteriorate, that affects the kids.
Yeah, most definitely.
And then when we got to the rocks, and we'll get to a point where my wife and I just didn't know where we were going to go, we decided, and my wife was 8.5 months pregnant when we had this. She was just about to give birth.
Yep.
It was a really, really hard time in our life, and we had to make a decision to put ourselves as husband and wife first, and build our relationship up again, and fall in love with each other all over again from scratch.
But that's a cool thing, isn't it?
That's right. It was awesome. I loved it. It was the best thing. One of the best things happened. It was the hardest time in my relationship.
Yeah.
But coming out the other end, it's made us so strong.
Yeah.
And we built that. And because Gina and I, my wife, we put our relationship first and make sure that we spend time together. Our relationship is always, if we have a problem, that comes first. That has actually given the best role model for our kids.
Yeah, I agree.
They know what a good relationship is.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, I mean, getting down to the nitty gritty of things. So, today's topic is, strategies for men to become better fathers, husbands, and protectors. Yeah. So based on your experience, I know we probably skimmed over a few, but, what other sort of advice or strategies do you have?
Well, the first thing that I do with my clients is that we get clear. Clarity is one of or probably the most important thing for any relationship, whether you're a man or a woman. And once you are clear on what you want your relationship to look like, okay, obviously there's no two relationships the same. So it makes it, from my perspective, what I love about my role is that I get to see so many different diverse relationships and speak to different diverse people. So I can't write down, a simple step-by-step rule that everybody can follow.
Yeah, agreed.
So I have to be quite flexible and quite free-flowing in what I work with my clients with. But what I found is there are certain things that will work for everybody. And number one is get clear on what you want. Most men don't know what they want out of a relationship. We are taught from young children to man up, not show emotions, go out and get, bring home the bacon, as they say, or bring home the bread. And we go out, we work 12, 14, sometimes 16 hours, we come home, and then after 10, 12 years, 15 years, we go, well, what went wrong with my relationship? Well, you weren't present. You didn't know what you wanted out of your relationship. You just got stuck in the daily grind.
Yeah.
So get clear on what you want your family, your relationship with your significant other to look like. What does that look like for you and your partner? And then the second most important thing is communicate it.
It makes sense.
Once you communicate that with your partner and you are both have her or she, her or him, I should say, her or him are clear on their goals and you are also clear on your goals, then you can say, okay, this is what you want our relationship to want. This is what I want our relationship to be like. How can we combine those to have one clear goal for our relationship? You need X, Y, and Z. I need X, Y, and Z. I want us to do X, Y, and Z together. You want us to do X, Y, and Z together. Now we're clear on what the relationship looks like. We have the ground rules, the basic foundation to build an amazing relationship. And you and I know if you've got a shitty foundation, it's not going to work.
Great. So listen, okay, that's really good. Now, do you think all this, like you were talking about, how men work so hard and things like that, and women, obviously, there's plenty of talented women out there with their own businesses and so forth. But do you think part of men to becoming or not being the best fathers they can be relates to how they were raised? You there? You there, mate? Yeah,
I can hear.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Did you hear that question? I mean, do you think? Yep.
Yeah. Look, I think one of the biggest challenges is not so much how much we work. Not so much how much we work, but also how we were raised. We were raised, just go out and get the bacon, get the bread, etc. And then we forget to spend the quality time with our kids. I'm all for people going out there and making money and having successful businesses. And I work sometimes 14 to 16 hours a day too. But I still make sure that I have that quality time, even if it's just a half an hour dinner with my kids, where I connect with them. I ask them how their day was, really understand what challenges they have. And if there is a challenge that needs to be addressed within the family, everything else stops, because that takes precedence.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, I can only speak from my own experiences too. I mean, you know what it's like when you start a business. It takes a lot of time, a lot of mental muscle, but you've got to be in the moment. I heard another great quote from Jim Rowan, I think it was about 10 years ago, and he said, wherever you are, be there. And
that's right.
That's sort of what I live to now. It's part of why I have offices and don't work from home anymore, because it can be difficult, or you need, discipline to separate work from home life when you work from home. But, that's just me.
And that's actually a very, very important point, because even speakers like Grant Cardone, they say the same thing: stop working from home.
Right.
I mean, work from an office, because you can separate that.
Yeah.
And that's something being in my current business is something that I'm just starting in the past 6 months. I'm not to that stage, but obviously that is a goal that I want to have. But also, I've set boundaries for myself. I only work in my study.
Yep.
If I'm going to sit out in the lounge room, the laptop stays in the study. If I'm going to be sitting on the dinner table, the laptop stays in the study. My phone stays in the study.
Yep.
I don't take my phone out of my study if I want to be present with my family.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's so easy to get distracted these days, isn't it? Like with phones and laptops and clients and things like that. But I think, once again, I can only draw on my own experience. I also learned a long time ago that if you let people know that you're available anytime, they'll contact you anytime. And, you've got to have your downtime. You've got to have family. or family, wife, or time with your wife and your kids and so forth.
Yep, 100%. And this also, and this is again why I work directly with men, is again, it's about leading by example, but also for men to understand that yes, you need to take a step up. You got to step up and say, okay, I'm going to stop work. I've committed to a dinner with my family tonight. I've committed to a date night with my wife. I've got to stop work at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever it is. You know, and I work 7 days a week sometimes too when I need to.
Yep.
But I say to myself, like, you know, this time, and I schedule it. I schedule in my calendar. I schedule time with my wife. I schedule time with my kids because it's important. It's very, very important for me. Therefore, if it's important, I make time for it. If it's not, we make excuses.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. Okay, so that's really good. Now, I did have a question, and that question was, you know, so how do you go about changing it? You know, like, obviously, you know, you've given us some tips and things like that, but, you know, how do I go about being a better father or husband?
Also, that's an awesome question, and many men ask that question. And the biggest challenges, as you mentioned earlier about the way we are raised to be, you know, suck it up, man up, men don't cry, all this other, you know,
bullshit.
BS,
you can say bullshit.
Yeah. Okay, all this other bullshit that men are told that men are not. And you know what? The reality is, we men have emotions too.
Yep.
We men also feel things, and one of the biggest challenges that us men are facing today is, especially in Western society, with such a high rate of suicide with men, is because men don't feel that they can talk. Men don't feel that they have a network, a support network where they can be vulnerable, they can be authentic, they can speak about their emotions. Yeah, in my opinion, a true man is a man that can actually feel his emotions, and if that means he needs to cry and there's tears coming down his eyes, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because that shows your humbleness, that shows your authenticity. It's not coming out.
Authenticity, yeah.
Authenticity, how authentic you are. It also shows how vulnerable you are, and you know what? That makes people respect you more.
Yeah, you know, I'd agree entirely with that. When I bawl watching a movie with Julie, my wife, she says, "What are you bawling about?" And I think it's because I'm a writer. You know, It sort of brings out emotions in me. So, but yeah, I'm getting off track, as I will.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But that just shows how big a heart you have. And, you know, men are measured, you know, we are told that men are measured by the wealth that they have or the strength that they have. But it takes strength to show that side of you. You know, I was having a chat with my son on the weekend. He was going through some challenges, and he was feeling a little bit, you know, he's feeling that no matter what he does.
You there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, mate. I got you.
Yeah. So, you know, my son was going through some challenges at school, and, you know, he was feeling that he's not enough. No matter how much work he does, he's not enough. And I was expressing to him the moment he was born and the feelings I felt and how much it means to me. And I had tears come down my eyes.
Yeah.
And it come down my face. And you know what? My son looked at it, and I said to him, "Dad, no matter what people say to you," and I was explaining to him how much the value that he has and how much he is enough as a person. And you know what? It meant so much for him.
Yeah.
To see his dad being so vulnerable and telling him the truth about how much he loves him. So many people I've met over the years, and one of the biggest challenges that men have is people think, "Oh, he's got mummy issues." No, most men have daddy issues.
Yeah.
Most men have a problem with the relationship they have with their fathers. I've seen grown men cry because their fathers died and they've never heard their father tell them they love them.
Yep. Yeah, I've got a few mates like that. But do you think that's changing? I mean, with people like yourself, you know, that mindset, do you think it's changing? I mean, my boys are young adults now, yeah? But I'm seeing traits in them that we taught them as children shining through in their relationships, and that makes me really, really proud. You know what I mean?
Should.
So,
that should.
But do you think that's changing in a larger sense for men?
I think there is a movement nationally, internationally, worldwide, where we are now starting to recognize the flaws of these things and what is causing for not just relationships, but also mental health and suicide rates and everything else, and breakdown of marriages. And I'm thinking now there is a lot of organizations out there, both in Australia and internationally, and there's more and more male coaches out there who are saying to men, step up, be a man, be vulnerable, talk about your feelings. It's okay, it's safe. And I think it will take time, because I still have clients who I speak to who have challenges expressing those feelings to their partners. It gives me such great joy when I see little changes in people's relationships and they become happier. But the fact that I still see these type of people means there's still a lot of work to be done out there.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of negative influences to be done that are facing young men today.
Okay. And it's funny you bring that up. I mean, we live in a world that's sort of so connected with technology, but I also think we're so disconnected.
That's right.
The other day I was going to, my mate had a birthday, and I was going to text him, and then I thought, oh no, stop. Don't be a slack bugger. Pick up the phone and call him. His daughter was getting married, actually, so I called him and said, oh, good luck giving your daughter away. And he was wrapped. But I thought, don't send a text, Eddie. That's just slack. Like, this is a guy that I've known for 30 years. But it's just that mentality or the technology. But as I said, we're more connected than ever in one way, but we're also really disconnected in another.
That's right. And I think a lot of speakers talk about this and I totally agree with this, with the technology that we have available to us. Like you and I, for example, you're all the way in Queensland, I'm in Sydney, and here we are recording this. It's allowing so much more connection, but so many people are being disconnected because what is also festering is that need for significance, and people just want more likes.
Yeah.
For me, for example, as I'm growing, as I'm getting my message out there, obviously, I get sometimes between 50 to 100 friend requests a day. And you know what? I don't respond to them.
Yeah.
I used to in the past just go bang, bang, accept. Now I don't. I set time aside every day, and I look at the person who sent me the friend request. I accept it, and then I send them a welcome message.
Yep.
Thank you for connecting. Just that little thing allows to actually build a friendship. I don't want 5,000 friends on my friends list because that's going to make me more popular, which I do want, don't get me wrong, because I want to get my message out there. My message is helpful, my message is good.
Yep.
But I also want to make sure that every single person that becomes my friend actually feels that I've said hello to them.
Well, that's it, isn't it? But all right, mate. So listen, how can people reach out to you, buddy?
Mate, they can follow me on Facebook at Wasim Debussy.
Yep.
I've got a Facebook page. Also, can add me. I do have a free ebook for people that want to grab a copy of it. They can get that from mandecoded.io.
Yep.
mandecoded.io. It's a free tool that I've put together. That just talks about the 4 cores that I actually focus on, which is mindset, bond, obviously bond with your wife, bond with your children, bond with your family, bond with your colleagues, work, etc. A body, so making sure that we have a strong, healthy body, because that's the vessel, that's the only vessel we're going to have to travel into the day we die.
Agreed.
And lastly, your calling.
Yep.
Because obviously all these things are great, but one of the other challenges that many men face and many people face is they're in dead-end jobs that they don't like, or they're in businesses that they just got into it by default, and they're not truly following their own calling and how they're going to make an impact on the world. So I covered those 4 things in my free book.
Okay.
So people are more than welcome to do that.
All right. And that's a soul killer, isn't it? Doing something that you don't want to do, or being in a job that you just can't stand, but you need the money. Let's be honest, we've probably all been there at one time or another. You there? You there, mate?
Yeah, I can hear.
Yep. So, and that kills the soul, doesn't it?
Yes. 100%. And I've been there. Like when I lost my job in March, the funny thing is, I didn't want to lose my job. But I lost my job on the 13th of March, and it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. By the time I drove home, I had a smile on my face.
That's the way.
I woke up the next day, and I was so energetic. I was hitting the gym at 5:30 in the morning, which I've been struggling to do. And I own a gym. And my wife was like, "You're happy now?" I'm like, "Yeah, we just lost 6 figures of income per year, but I feel free."
Yeah.
And here I am.
Well, that's fantastic, mate. Now, is there anything you'd like to add before we split?
That's it, mate. And for any men that want to connect and find a supportive network, I do have a group for men only. It's called Life Mastery Hacks Men. So they can find that on Facebook. They can just request to join, and I'll accept them. And it's a safe place for men that we can talk about anything that men face, mainly things to do with relationships, things to do with business, things to do with training, everything that is just a safe environment for men. I just want to create that environment for people to be able to have a support network.
Okay, well, thanks so much for that, buddy. We're going to wind it up, hey?
Thank you very much, Eddie, and I love your work, man. I hope to catch up with you soon.
Yeah, mate, thanks so much, Wasim. And all right, listeners, that's Eddie and Wasim out of here. Please take advantage of Wasim's free ebook and the Facebook page for all you men out there. It's a safe place where we can share and discuss, the challenges that we face as men. And for the rest of you listeners, have a great day. Stay tuned, stay cool, and I'll see you later. Bye now.